Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in. As we get ready to rumble here this evening, as it is the Victory Fuel 200 here from Texas Motor Speedway. The Hypershift Racing League is back. These drivers ready to go to battle here once again after having a week off with a little bit of their Memorial Day weekend. Obviously, drivers taking that extra Thursday off, so we were not in action last week, but we are back to battle here this afternoon. Man, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be another absolutely amazing show here this evening. These drivers are going to put on a heck of a battle for us, man. Each and every one of them going to compete like no other here this evening. This is a very tricky but very fun and very racy Texas Motor Speedway, and it's the legacy Texas Motor Speedway. So this track has not been repaved. It has not been regrooved here yet this afternoon. So that means that this is all concrete. It's old, it wears out tires, it makes things very, very tricky on these drivers, and they're going to have to be on the edge of their seats, on their tippy toes, making sure that they don't make any mistakes and make sure they keep themselves pointed in the right direction here this evening. They do have 5 sets of tires in this sim, so they do have 5 sets back behind pit wall, so that means they get the opportunity to try to throw on some tires throughout this evening, where it's definitely going to be something they're going to need out there on the racetrack. Try to keep those tires underneath them, trying to keep these cars pointed the right direction and trying to keep on rolling here this evening as we'll get them loaded up and ready to rock and roll. 134 laps of racing action. Now, with the tires, you have 5 sets. You can kind of break this down into a little bit of segments, maybe go 30 laps, 30 laps, 30 laps, and then maybe another 30 with about 14, 15 laps left in this race, or potentially try to break it up even more, maybe do, 30 early on, and then maybe try to do another 30, then 25 and 25, trying to break up that final little bit of a run out there on the racetrack as these drivers get ready to rumble, they get ready to go to battle. So good to see these guys back out there on the racetrack. Is starting on the pole in the Arnold Palmer, the half and half iced tea and lemonade, number 94 ride, the 213 Simware machine. That is Adam Boughton. Boughton will start in the pole position. To his outside, in the Tiny Toes, number 77, it is Dalton Wicker. Starting in position number 3 in the Noble American, number 7 ride, that is Chase Abel. To his outside, in the 57, is the Logan Strong machine. That is Brian Fine. Starting in position number 5 in the Halvoline, number 28, that is Timothy Watson. To his outside in that Monster Energy, that beautiful number 45, it is Dylan Picklesheimer. Starting in position number 6, it is the beautiful number 1 ride. That is Got Your 6 Coffee Company. That is the number 1 ride of Michael Sheffield. To his outside will be the Tiny Toes, number 17, of Corey Denk. Starting in position number 9 in the HendrickCars.com and Chevrolet, it is the Flow Racing machine of J.J. Moore. And to his outside in the number 20 ride, the Interstate Batteries machine, that is Jeremiah Nelson. Starting in position number 11 in the number 2 ride, this Menard's machine of James Hudson. To his outside in the number 12 ride is Gavin Grubbs. Starting in position number 13, it is the 40 ride, the Canadian Racing ride. That is Jaden Newson. To his outside will be the number 34. That is Drew King there. To his outside in 14th. And then we see Chris Sofeld in that beautiful Tide number 11 ride. Starting there in 15th. I do believe it's going to be Jack Simpson. No, it's going to be Anthony Ludi who will start alongside him there in 16th. Then we see Justin Hendry. We do see Jack Simpson right behind him. Jonathan Cogswell, Tyler Chronister there in the Walmart 99 ride. Scott Shive there in the podium machine. Max Koss, Kent Mueller bringing up the rear of the field is Al Likens, and Brant Fulham unfortunately not out there on the racetrack to start this race. Likens is down pit road, so he'll get the start from pit side, but he will miss the start of this race as here we go. We end all the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are back to Green Flag Racing here with the Hypershift Racing League as the Victory Fuel 200 is underway. It's Dalton Wicker out in front. Wicker leading the way down the back straightaway, using that outside lane to his advantage here in this one. Looking to try to lead these drivers all the way through this one as Kel says, Tiny Toes, let's go. Cheering on the Tiny Toes rides here this evening. And right now, Dalton Wicker in the Tiny Toes Ford Mustang leads lap number 1. So Dalton Wicker out in front. Here comes Brian Fine trying to jump up into second as he looks to clear that 94 ride of Adam Boughton. Boughton there in third with Chase Abel back in position number 4. Dylan Picklesheimer there in 5th, looking to try to make some early moves here as he's already gotten around Timothy Watson. Watson back into 6th and already up 5 spots on the racetrack is this Interstate Batteries Yahoo number 20 ride. That is Jeremiah Nelson, J.J. Moore, Corey Dank, Michael Sheffield, all rounding out our top 10. And Sheffield down 3 spots early on and unfortunately back into position number 10. James Hudson, Jaden Newson right there behind him, and Jack Simpson early on has already moved up 6 positions. This 24 ride trying to race his way to the front of the field is the RaceEPI.com. Number 24 ride rolls there in position number 13. Grubbs, Zonfeld right there behind him, rounding out our top 15 with Anthony Ludi, Justin Hendry, Scott Shive there in 18th, Jonathan Cogswell back in 19th. Tyler Chronister, Max Goss, Kent Mueller are top 22, as Drew King falling all the way back to 23rd. And there you do see that 9 ride of Al Likens. Likens unfortunately had to start from pit road. Luckily enough, he's able to hang on to the rear of the field here. Got that Sun Energy ride, trying to storm his way up and into the battle here at the back of the pack as he is scored back in 24th right now, and he's about 2 seconds behind Drew King for 23rd. Brad Fulham unfortunately not out there on the racetrack, as we always like to see that Flying Otter number 21 out there on the speedway. Unfortunately, he did not get a chance to slide out there onto the racetrack, and he is still off of the speedway as of right now as Dalton Wicker continues to lead the way. Wicker out in front, as last time around we did see this 45 ride laid down the quick time of this race. So right there on lap number 4, it was this number 45 right of Dylan Picklesheimer laying down the fastest lap of this race. Now we're 4 laps into this race, now 5 laps in, going to 6 here across the line. So 6 laps will be completed as Dalton Wicker hangs down across the start-finish line. Tire wear not yet really a major factor for a lot of these drivers, but it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse for them, especially the longer these runs go. And we have seen these guys do, 100 laps, 120 laps, caution-free. So they may have a bunch of green flag pit stops, so they're going to have to worry about that. Tire wear may play a major factor on when they want to try to make that trip down pit side, maybe try to use it to their advantage and try to play some of that tire game and trying to put themselves up and into a great starting spot here this evening. And Squeaker coming in, showing the love over there on YouTube, says, come on, Jack and Jaden. Cheering on Jack and Jaden out there on the racetrack right now. Jack up 7 spots on the racetrack, rolls there in position number 12. Jaden, unfortunately, and Jaden's right in front of him here. Jaden there in 11th. He's trying to work himself up inside the top 10. There's that beautiful Canadian Racing 2430 ride as he takes a look down low underneath that Got Your 6 Coffee Company #1 machine of Michael Sheffield. Sheffield trying to hang on to that 10th position. Already down 3 spots in this race. Unfortunately going the wrong direction. Same with Chase Abel here in that 7 ride. Abel all of a sudden falling back from the lead pack here, and he is now back 5 spots from where he started here this evening. Not the spot you want to be in right now, but potentially could be trying to play a little bit of that tire game. Maybe trying to take it a little bit easier on this first run and then waiting for his time to shine here later in this first stint this afternoon. Is Dalton Wicker continuing to lead the way. Wicker out in front, but only about a car length separating him and Brian Fine. Is Fine right there on his back bumper, trying to hunt him down as Dylan Picklesheimer up and into third. Picklesheimer trying to race his way up to the front of the field as Adam Boughton there in fourth, and Timothy Watson rounding out our top 10. As Ryan coming in, show the love. What's good, Ryan? Ryan says, let's go Zofield. Cheering on Zofield here this afternoon. As Zofield a little farther back there. He's back in that 14th position, but there you get a good look at that beautiful caliber collision tied number 11 ride as he rolls there in that 14th spot. He's looking to try to find a run down low and hoping to make the move around the 2 ride, but now all of a sudden has that 12 of Gap in Grubbs right down low, looking to try to move around him and move Zofeld back into position number 15 out there on the racetrack, and looks like he will complete that pass. So that beautiful number 12 ride, that Ryan Newman throwback paint scheme machine, up and into position number 14 once again, right where he started this feature event. As Jeremiah Nelson still trying to move forward here, that beautiful Interstate Batteries number 20 ride. He's got J.J. Moore right there in front of him. Moore and Jeremiah Nelson running like Kyle Larson, running like Christopher Bell out there on the racetrack. Both drivers early on moving up through the field here. Up 3 spots there for J.J. Moore, up 5 spots there for Jeremiah Nelson, and they look to continue to keep on rolling to the front of the pack here this evening. But it's Dalton Wicker who hangs on to the race lead here. Wicker still out in front, not letting back at all, trying to be that reflection of perfection here this evening. Wants to park this Tiny Toes ride back up into victory lane and wants to put another beautiful sticker onto that door panel of that number 77 ride. He's already got a bunch on there. The car is pretty much filled there on that roll bar on the inside of the car there. He has definitely got some stickers up there. A lot of dubs, a lot of wins for the Tiny Toes 77 machine. Is Brian Fine there in second, trying to hunt him down. Fine looking to put that Logan Strong 57 back up into victory lane, with Picklesheimer having a very solid run here early on. Normally we see Picklesheimer having good runs, having great finishes, but he normally starts these races deeper in the field. Normally he's at the back of the pack, and that was due to a penalty a few months ago, honestly, a couple months ago. He got a penalty, unfortunately had to serve a bunch of non-qualifying penalties, so he couldn't qualify for the longest time and had to start all these races from the back of the pack, and that kind of just completely changed his game plan. To be perfectly fine, we're not having any skip frames inside the game, but we are seeing some dropped frames over there on Streamlabs, so I'm not sure if Streamlabs may be running into some problems here this evening. So we can open up Google right now and take a look here. see if Streamlabs is running into any issues. See, I'm not sure if we're gonna have any. It does look like there's a few that have popped up about 15 minutes ago. Interesting. Hopefully it is a-okay. Hopefully we don't run into any more issues with it. Hopefully that was just a couple seconds. We threw her into performance mode, hoping that it does stay pretty solid and it doesn't have any more issues here this evening, as YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Oh no. Well, hopefully you're not experiencing any buffering, chat. Because here we go. Continue to battle, continue to race. And you see that 94 wide starting to work his way towards the front of the field, as Squeaker says, I wish I could have been there tonight, says Gage, as Gage is Squeaker here this evening. Yeah, it's very often that we don't see Gage Wenzel out there on the speedway. That's one driver we're missing here this evening. But Gage, hopefully you enjoy a little bit of extra bit of time off, man, as yeah, we did see skip frames over there on Facebook too. I don't know what was going on there, chat, or what the problem was, but looks like they are somewhat resolved. Hopefully they are fine. We don't have any more issues with that throughout the evening, as man, some great racing here, some great battling up at the front of the field. Is Brian Fine now trying to hold on to second. Adam Boughton looking to try to take it away. Here comes Dylan Picklesheimer right there, looking to try to take advantage of that move from the 94, looking to see if he can slide up and jump into position number 3 here once again as he moves around 5, but Fine going to cross him, overlooks right back down to the inside, looking to try to stay in position number 3. Is that tire wear really starting to take effect now? It tends to take a few laps, and then all of a sudden these tires kind of just start to fall off the map, and that's what really starts to create issues out there on the racetrack for these drivers. Whether it's slipping and sliding, having issues pushing up the racetrack, or potentially just running much slower lap times, not as confident out there on the speedway to send it in down around the bottom of this racetrack. And we'll see them continue to move up a little bit, and then we're going to see these guys probably start to head down pit road here very, very soon. I think probably in the next 10 laps, 15 laps, we're going to start to see that first wave of green flag pit stops, but we could see a couple drivers maybe try to stretch it out a little bit, but you don't want to give up too much time out there on the racetrack, as it's well over a second of tire fall off already for these drivers. A full second a tire fall off is absolutely massive. That is a lot of time out there on the racetrack. If somebody jumps down pit road and puts those fresh tires on, and they stay out there and they keep on racing for 10, 15 laps with the older tires, they're going to potentially leapfrog them by 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, who knows how much. So you can't wait too long. Once that first driver really comes down pit side, if they're up at the front of the field and they're already 6 or 7 laps back, you're almost forced to kind of come down pit side and make that pit stop out there. So it's going to be interesting to see on who's going to be able to do what they need to do. As we do see this 21 ride, the Flying Otter Machine does jump out onto the racetrack now, unfortunately, here for Brad Fulham. Fulham is already 3 laps down in this race, and that is a heartbreaker there for the Flying Otter ride. But if we could see a caution flag right now, he is the only driver a lap down and could potentially get the wave around the free pass and back onto lead lap, as Dalton Wicker continuing to lead the way. Adam Boughton, though, trying to hunt him down. Boughton trying to run a little bit of a different strategy here. Qualified on the pole, but quickly fell back into second, then third. Then he kind of hung out right around that 4th position, trying to save a little bit more tire than the rest of the drivers around him, and now he is using them to his advantage. He's got a little bit better tires than those drivers that are kind of surrounding him right now. But for Boughton, he's trying to hunt down this number 77 ride. And for Dalton Wicker, unfortunately, he's a 10th or so slower every single lap, the last few laps, and all of a sudden Boughton right there in his rear view mirror. You see that 77 starting to push up the racetrack right there. Got a little piece of that outside fence, and Boughton quickly right to his back bumper. As Picklesheimer about a second back from that battle, same with J.J. Moore, now up and into position number 5. Timothy Watson there in 5th, as he's going to move around Brian Fine as well. Unfortunately for Brian, didn't look like those tires held on as long as he was hoping for here this evening, and all of a sudden he has fallen backwards in a quick Wicker is Timothy Watson down low, trying to make the move around him. Now here comes that 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson, Michael Sheffield, Corey Denk, and Jaden Newson rounding out our top 10 out there on the racetrack is Dalton Wicker out in front. Wicker continuing to lead the way here in this one. Wicker has led every lap so far and down across the line. The first 27 laps going into the history books here at Texas Motor Speedway in the Tiny Toes 77 ride. Everything is bigger in Texas, and for the Tiny Toes ride, it's going to be the Giant Toes machine here this evening as the 77 ride. He's going to know everything is bigger here in the Lone Star State as Wicker out in front looking for a very big win here this evening. Adam Belton, though, and that always so good. These things are so good. I don't know if you guys are huge iced tea fans or if you've ever tried the Arnold Palmer half and half iced teas, man, but they are absolutely amazing. It takes me back, 10, 15 years ago, going to the golf course with my dad and my grandfather, and these things kind of first came out, and man, I could slam back 5 of these out there in a 9-hole round of golf. Man, they were just so good as Adam Belton has that beautiful Arnold Palmer ride out there on the speedway, looking very strong here this evening as Dylan Picklesheimer back there in third, continue to fall back away from our top 2 competitors, but J.J. Moore right there behind him trying to reel him in. Timothy Watson there in 5th with Jeremiah Nelson back in position number 6. And we see Brian Fine, Michael Sheffield, Corey Denk, and Jack Simpson now running out our top 10. As Simpson rolls there in the 10th position, you see Jaden Newson in the 95 ride of Anthony Ludy. They are battling here for the 11th spot. Looks like the 40 ride will hang on to position number 11, but Ludy looking to try to battle back and try to make a move back around that Canadian Racing number 40 ride as the 2430 machine rolls there just outside the top 10. James Hudson there in 13th with Al Likens up and into 14th here for Likens. Started down pit road, could not start this race out on the racetrack. Unfortunately, gave up his, he was supposed to start in the 8th position here this evening, and all of a sudden he had to start from down pit road, was able to roll out onto the racetrack there, quickly rejoin this field, and now he's starting to really make some moves and starting to race his way up through this traffic as he's already up and into 13th as he moves around Hudson right there. Chase Abel unfortunately going the opposite direction here, down 12 positions. Back there in that 15th position is Jonathan Cogswell, Gavin Grubbs, Max Koss, Chris Sofeld, and Justin Hendry right behind him here, rounding out our top 20. Scott Shive there in 21st with Kent Mueller there in 22nd. Drew King back in 23rd. Tyler Chronister there in 24th. As Brad Fulham back in position number 25 here this evening. As we do see this Tyler Chronister right now, he is about 17 seconds behind our race leaders. He's just down across the line right now, and our race leaders headed down the back straightaway, so virtually about a half a lap behind our race leaders here this evening as we are done this time around. 33 laps of racing action here this evening. 101 more laps left to go here tonight as Dalton Wicker, Adam Belton, Dylan Picklesheimer continue to lead the way, and now here we go. Green flag pit stops starting to become a thing as here we go. The Got Your 6 Coffee Company number 1 right heads down pit side. Now this may bring a onslaught of other drivers down pit road as sure everyone's trying to save the first little bit. Everyone kind of wants to keep an extra step back there behind pit wall, but for this number 1 ride, getting those fresh tires on earlier than everybody else could potentially leapfrog him in front of a bunch of other drivers, potentially could move him forward on that timesheet and bump inside the top 10 solidly, maybe even farther forward than the top 10, maybe up inside the top 5 as there goes the field. This is the game that you gotta play though. Unfortunately for the 1 ride, he does go a lap down. Now he's really got to hope to see this cycle through. Does not want to see a caution flag as a yellow flag right now would unfortunately keep him back there a lap down. He is in that free pass position, but as more and more drivers go a lap down, the more and more treacherous it's going to be to get down pit road, and the more problems that these drivers could have out there on the racetrack. So he's playing a dangerous game right now, just needs to see this cycle through, and it may get a little bit busy down pit road, especially now that we do see one of our front runners head down pit side. right, it's the Logan Strong 57 of Brian Fine. Fine heads down pit road here himself. So Brian Fine looking to make that green flag pit stop here in this one. It's Adam Boughton in the 77 of Dalton Wicker, our race leader, continuing to roll some laps out there on the racetrack. That time around, 36 laps complete here this evening. So I feel some drivers probably going to try to extend this this first run of the day, trying to put a little bit more laps on their tire, trying to roll out there a little bit longer than what they probably want to, but potentially could have that extra setback beyond pit wall for a late race caution flag, or potentially just could put more tires onto their car more frequently here later in the game, where that could potentially help them out and potentially put them into a winning situation, as we'll have to keep a close eye on it. And when these drivers head down pit road, as of right now, we've only seen Michael Sheffield and Brian Fine come down pit side on lap 33 and lap 35. We haven't seen anyone else head down pit road as of yet. So they are going to have some very, very fast cars. They're going to be laying down some great lap times. Unfortunately for both Michael Sheffield and Brian Fine, they are going to be quite a ways behind these race leaders, and unfortunately they're going to end up having maybe some guys leapfrog them. We could potentially see Brian Fine, Michael Sheffield, if they have those fresh tires and they roll good enough laps for long enough, they could leapfrog a bunch of these other competitors out there on the racetrack. As there you do see that number 1 right, he's quickly moving around the number 84 machine. That is Jonathan Cogswell. They just made the move around. Now he's making the move around the 40 of Jaden Newson and the 11 right here of Chris Sofeld. You can tell the difference between the fresh tires and the old tires, as fresh tires, you can just kind of hug that inside lane that much easier and carry so much speed through there that you don't have to worry too much here in this one. So the fresh tires definitely make you feel unstoppable. And for Sheffield and Brian Fine, they're both looking to use those fresh tires right now to their advantage. Just look at that. There's the run right there. You see that 57 machine quickly down through court number 2, catch up, make the move right around the 11 right, down the back straightaway, makes the move around the 84 of Jonathan Cogswell, and it just shows you the pure speed that these cars have when these drivers are just rolling out there on the speedway, man. Last time around, Brian Fine laid a 28.80, and that may bring more drivers down pit road. Here comes the Canadian Racing number 40 ride of Jaden Newson. Newson down pit road. Now the big thing is going to be that a lot of these drivers that have pitted early, if we see this go another 10-15 laps in and we don't see that caution flag come out, they could unfortunately get locked a lap down. But at the same point in time, as these drivers continue to roll out there on the racetrack, when they come back out, they're going to give up a little time early in the second run, but at the later end of the second run, they are going to be hunting down and making some moves there, where unfortunately for Sheffield and Brian Fine, they're both going to be sliding backwards. So we do see that 40 machine roll back in on the racetrack. Now we do see the 17 ride of Corey Denk. Denk, the 4th driver to head down pit side here. So already 4 drivers making green flag pit stops early in this race. Is down across the line. That 77 ride of Dalton Wicker. Wicker just clicked off lap number 42. Tire fall off reaching about that 2-second marker. So you're running 2 seconds slower than those drivers with the fresh tires. They can drive technically around you in a quick hurry and just move up and make those moves, and unfortunately sent you back behind the 8 ball here this evening. But the 77 of Dalton Wicker are going to stay out for at least another lap here. So 43 laps into the books, and the fuel is not really too much of an issue. These guys can go quite a ways on a tank of fuel here at the beautiful Texas Motor Speedway, but it's really the tires that are going to be the big question mark, as you see J.J. Moore now up and into 3rd. Jeremiah Nelson there in 4th. Dylan Picklesheimer all the way back now into 5th. Timothy Watson there in 6th, with Jack Simpson up into 7th. Anthony Ludy there in 8th. Chase Abel up into 9th. And then we see Gavin Grubbs there in 10th. Max Costello, like James Hudson, Chris Sofeld, Jonathan Cogswell, Justin Hendry, Scott Shive, Kent Mueller, Drew King, Tyler Chronister, all yet to come down pit road. 20 drivers yet to make that green flag pit stop. The first green flag pit stop for them here this evening is Michael Sheffield, Brian Fine, Corey Denk and now Jaden Newsom. They have all came down pit road, made their green flag pit stops already here in this race. And for all these other drivers, they're just waiting patiently as now here we go. We see the 45, Dylan Picklesheimer. Picklesheimer heads down pit side. So Picklesheimer from position number 5 out there on the racetrack heads down pit road here himself. Now he was a good chunk of change behind our race leader, Dalton Wicker. Was in front of him by virtually about 5-6 seconds. I'm going to say about 6 seconds, the gap between Dalton Wicker and that number 45 ride. So we'll have to wait and see how quickly and how much ground he can make up here doing that short pit out there on the racetrack, as we did see Scott Shine run into a little bit of issues here as Shine trying to head down pit road. Actually, I don't think he was trying to head down pit road. Maybe he was. We do see the 54 Hendry's trying to head down pit road, then the 81 gets to the back end of him. The 34 gets into the 81. Ryan goes for a bit of a slide right there. Luckily enough, keeps that car rolling. No caution flag. We keep it clean and green in the Podium Esports. Number 81, Ryan, able to catch that car and keep on rolling out there on the speedways. Here we go. We start to see our race leaders head down pit road. Here comes Dalton Wicker. Wicker says, can't wait any longer. Gotta head down pit side and get that fuel, get those tires, as this 77 gives up the race lead for the first time here this evening. Falls back now into the 10th position, but getting this first green flag pit stop in. You do see J.J. Moore, Al Likens, James Hudson, Chris Zofeld, Anthony Ludi, Drew King, all down pit road here as well. So a big bunch of drivers right there all heading down pit side, and now we're going to see Adam Belton next time around. Belton heads down pit road. Chase Abel comes down pit side. Here comes Max Koss, as we do see Jeremiah Nelson take over the race lead. So Jeremiah now out in front. Jack Simpson back there in position number 2. Timothy Watson there in third with Gavin Grubbs and Jonathan Cogswell rounding out our top 5 here in this one. As Mackenzie says, go Chaser, cheering on Chase Abel here this evening as Chaser down pit road trying to chase a big checkered flag here this evening in that Noble American number 7 ride, as we do see another onslaught of drivers head down pit side. Here comes Jeremiah Nelson. Here comes Jack Simpson, Timothy Watson, Jonathan Cogswell, Ken Mueller, and this should cycle things back around. We're still waiting for one more driver to head down pit side, and that is this 12 ride of Gavin Grubbs. Grubbs yet to come down pit road, but here he is making that move down to the apron, nice and easy onto the binders, able to roll down to pit road speed, and he will come back down pit side here this evening. The 2 drivers that pitted early here in this run, the 2 drivers that came down pit side around lap number 33 and lap 35 currently sit in 2nd and 3rd, and now down across the line they will take over that race lead. So Brian Fine now the race leader here this evening, with Michael Sheffield there in 2nd. Those fresh tires that they were able to use for a handful of laps before everyone else came down pit road. Now they're going to be much slower than a lot of these other drivers, but they were able to leapfrog them all, put themselves out in front. Now sitting in the catbird seat here this evening is Dalton Wicker, is about 7 seconds back here behind these guys. He's about 7 seconds, 7.8 back behind our race leader Brian Fine, but he does have much better tires and looking to try to hunt them down. Adam Belton there in 4th with Corey Denk out in position number 5. And then we see J.J. Moore there in 6th. Dylan Picklesheimer back in 7th. Jaden Newsom, Jeremiah Nelson, Anthony Ludi, and Jack Simpson rounding out our top 11 with Al Likens back there in 12th. Great run and rebound day here from that 9 run of Al Likens here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't done it already, you haven't helped us out, make sure you guys do us the favor. It's absolutely free to do. Helps us out a ton here on the channel. Hit that like button on the stream for us right now. Hit that thumbs up. Jump into the comment section. Let us know who you're cheering for, or just drop a checker flag up in that comment section. And make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today over on YouTube, or hit that follow button over on Facebook and Twitch. And follow us over there as well, and that way you never miss any of the racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming. As out in front, it is Brian Fine. Fine continue to lead the way here in this one. Sheffield a little farther back here, about 3 seconds, but they are giving up a ton of time here to that number 77 right of Dalton Wicker. Is Wicker right now, he is in position number 3, looking to try to hunt down this race lead over the last few laps. He is closed in about a second over Brian Fine, so he is running much better lap times, and he's going to close that gap in a quick hurry, especially as this run continues to lead on. But for a driver like Brian Fine, potentially going to try to split the stage up a little bit more here. Maybe try to head down pit road in the next 5-10 laps here. Come back down pit road again early. Hope to see it kind of stay clean and green. But as these guys win 44 laps, 47, 48, 49 for a lot of these drivers before coming down pit road, they could virtually do that again and only have to make one more pit stop here in this race, making this a 2 pit stop race here this evening, where other drivers, they may want those fresher tires more consistently. They may make that 3rd additional pit stop, or maybe even 4 pit stops out there on the day, especially if we start to see a couple caution flags. Could potentially see a bunch of drivers wanting to head down pit road. As we did see Brad Fulham now down pit side here. Unfortunately for Fulham, he is a lap down back there, a few laps down back in position number 25. Justin Hendry also going a lap down there on the 54 line after that contact between him, Scott Shive, and Drew King. And unfortunately, all 3 drivers are now a lap down out there on the racetrack. Tyler Chronister in the 99 ride also down a lap here this evening. Timothy Watson was a lap down, but was able to race his way back around Brian Fine and pull away from that 57 machine. And he does have some pretty fresh tires on this number 28 ride. Unfortunate pit call and pit strategy there for the 28, a little bit slower of a pit stop, but unfortunately gave up a ton of track position as he was running up inside the top 5, top 10 here for that first run. And now after that green flag pit stop, all the way back in 20th and just barely on the lead lap here this evening. As Brian Fine continuing to lead the way. Fine out in front, has about 0.6 of a second between himself in Michael Sheffield. But quickly in the horizon, you do see the 77 ride, Dalton Wicker, reeling them in. The tires are starting to get worse and worse for Fine and Sheffield. And for this number 77 ride, these tires are still very good for him. And he is rolling some great laps out there on the racetrack, trying to hunt these guys down and race his way right back into contention here this evening. Is already 58 laps down here tonight, and down across the line we'll pick up another one. So 59 laps of racing action into the history books here this evening from Texas Motor Speedway. And so far, clean and green racing, absolutely amazing racing by these drivers. Oh, that is good. Woo! Little Rockstar Watermelon, that is so good, so watermelony. That is so good. We may even have to pull a Kurt Cobain and shotgun a Rockstar here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as we do see the Arnie Palmies, the number 94 ride of Adam Belton rolling there in 4th. J.J. Moore there in position number 5. Dylan Picklesheimer right behind him there in that Monster Energy number 45 ride, rolls there in 6th with Corey Dent, Jeremiah Nelson, Al Likens, and Anthony Ludi, our top 10 out there on the Speedway. As Brian Fine, though, continue to lead the way, here comes Michael Sheffield. Sheffield came down pit road a few laps before that number 57 ride, but now as they battle door to door, right there with them, that's Dalton Wicker. Wicker was down pit road about 14 laps after Michael Sheffield, about 12 laps after that number 57 to Brian Fine. So he's got much better tires than both of these drivers and looking to move around them and move himself back to the race lead. As Dalton Wicker down through 3, nice and easy, out of 4, able to put that hammer down, and he will go back out in front. So the Tiny Toes ride of Dalton Wicker once again leading this race here at Texas Motor Speedway. So Wicker out in front once again, Sheffield there in 2nd, and Brian Fine falling back to 3rd. We did see Fine early in that first run here before those green flag pit stops. He was falling back quite quickly here. I'm not sure if the tire wear program for this 57 ride is as good as other drivers, as unfortunately he's kind of falling in that situation again. Michael Sheffield has a couple lap older tires, should potentially have a worse car than the 57 ride right now, but he continues to fall backwards, lost that top spot to Sheffield. Sheffield took it away from him, And unfortunately for the 57, just doesn't look like he can hang on and run with that number 1 right as of right now. Looks like Sheffield already has the better tires, even with the 2-lap later pit strategy here this evening as Wicker leads the way. Wicker looking to just continue to try to pull away from everybody else as Adam Belton looking to try to race his way up and into this battle as here he goes around that number 57 of Brian Fine. Fine will slide back to position number 4 as Belton back up into 3rd. J.J. Moore there in 5th. He's looking to move up a couple extra spots here as well. Same with Dylan Picklesheimer, Jeremiah Nelson. Al Likens now into 8th. What a comeback it's been for Al Likens here this evening as Corey Denk there in position number 9. Anthony Ludi rounding out our top 10. Jack Simpson there in 11th with Jaden Newson back in position number 12. James Hudson, Gavin Grubbs, Max Koss, Chase Abel, Kent Mueller, Timothy Watson, Jonathan Cogswell, and Tyler Cronister rounding out our top 20 out here on the Speedway. Scott Shive, unfortunately, back in 21st. Drew King there in 22nd. And then we see Justin Hendry. Hendry back in position number 23. And Chris Sofeld there in 24th. And then we see Matt Fulham. Fulham still rolling out there on the racetrack. The Flying Otter Ride not jumping out of this race, even though he missed the start. Unfortunately, went down 3 laps early in this race. But still hanging on strong here this evening. Not giving up an inch. Still battling. Still looking to try to maybe get a couple wave rounds or free passes and put himself right back into the action here this afternoon and some absolutely amazing battles around the racetrack as we do see Wicker able to hang on to the race lead. The 94 ride of Adam Belton now jumps up and into position number 2 as Sheffield and Brian Fine both continue to slide backwards. Sheffield hanging on to 3rd here. Has been a 1.5 second gap between himself and Brian Fine, and Fine quickly has that 48 ride of J.J. Moore to his back bumper. Moore going to make quick work of him and slide that 48 machine up and into position number 4, and he is looking for more. It's Fine looking to just try to hang on to this race car as if he tries to split this up, come back down pit road after another 35 lap run. We could potentially see this 57 machine down pit side in about, I'm going to say 2 to 3 laps here potentially. Could see Brian Fine back down pit road. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Right now for Michael Sheffield, this strategy's been very, very good to him. He was back at about that 10th position, pitted early there on lap 33, was able to leapfrog a lot of drivers, and now finds himself up and into that 3rd position, hanging pretty strong right now. He had Wicker and Belton get around him, but he's got a little bit of a gap back to that 48 ride of J.J. Moore, as next time around, down across the line will be lap number 70 complete here this evening. So about 70 laps already done in this race, and that just shows you the true, knowledge and testament to these drivers and just how good they are and how talented they are as we ran 70 laps of green flag racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Green flag pit stops, a little bit of tire wear and everything else playing a factor in this race, and for these drivers it's going to be right down to the wire, but we could see this stay clean and green. And we talked about those tires. Here we go. Sheffield heads down pit road, so doesn't Brian Fine, so they wait right about till lap number 70 here. So they kind of split that run up again. 35 laps the first time, 35 laps the second time. We'll have to wait and see how this strategy plays out for them as we can see them come back down pit road around lap number 105 here. Now we should see everyone else have to make another pit stop, and for these two, obviously playing a little bit of a different strategy now. Coming down pit road at this point, they cannot make it on the 2-stop strategy here this evening. So for Brian Fine and for that number 1 machine, both drivers going to have to try to hope to see these other drivers have to make a 3rd pit stop at least here this evening, as they will have to come down pit road at least once more for fuel out there on the racetrack. And for Sheffield and for that number 57 of Brian Fine, that could be a very, very tough break here this evening. As out in front, it is still Dalton Wicker. Wicker continuing to lead the way, has held about a 2-second gap between himself and Adam Belton, as Belton's been trying to hunt him down. They were in position number 2. J.J. Moore having a great run there in that 48 ride. The HendrickCars.com machine up into position number 3 on the racetrack, as Dylan Picklesheimer a little wings back behind him. And then we see Jeremiah Nelson there running out our top 5. Corey Denk, another one of those tiny toes machines, back in position number 6, trying to race his way up inside the top 5 and trying to join his teammate up there at the front of the field for a bit of a battle here today. As Jack Simpson up into 7th, now Likens there in 8th. Anthony Ludi back in 9th, and Gavin Grubbs rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack. As we'll see if we get more drivers electing to come down pit road. I feel like a lot of these guys came down pit side somewhere around lap number 47, 48, 49. So there is the potential of running quite a few laps out there on the racetrack longer if we do catch a caution flag. Tyler Chronister, Michael Sheffield, Ryan Fine, Scott Shive. So many of these drivers, unfortunately, going to be scored a lap down or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. And without getting that lucky dog or a wave around, they are kind of sitting ducks right now, especially if we stay clean and green out there on the racetrack. It may be game over for those guys that are already a lap down. We'll have to wait and see how the strategy once again plays out for Michael Sheffield and Brian Fine as they're looking to use the fresh tires to their advantage, looking to just move around drivers and race their way potentially back in front of this field. And over the final 20, 30 laps, maybe they can hold everybody off and find victory lane themselves here on this pit strategy here today. As we do see Chris Zofeld. Zofeld does come down pit road here himself. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 75 laps complete here this evening. We're just over halfway through this race, and already halfway through, man, they've been clicking off the laps in a quick hurry. These drivers doing a fantastic job. Obviously staying clean and green. No yellow flags out there on the racetrack as of yet, knock on wood. And we've kept it clean and green. Some absolutely amazing racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. And for these competitors, they are working their tails off, man. It is tough work out there. It's tough sledding. If you run into a problem or you get some damage like the 11 right here, you can see that right front damage on that car, and unfortunately he is going to be struggling here until he gets some more time down pit road during a caution flag to allow the crew to go to work and try to get this tide ride fixed back up. And unfortunately, as he continues to roll out there, we continue to see green flag conditions. He is falling more and more behind our race leaders. As Dalton Wicker out in front, continue to lead the way here. Adam Belton there in second. Now with these drivers, potentially could see them start to come down pit side now. Maybe try to split this final run up and make that third pit stop. But I feel there's going to be a few drivers that are going to try and make it to the end of this race without having to come back down pit road here for a third time here this evening. They've already made one green flag pit stop, a lot of them around lap number 47, 48, 49, but if they come back down pit road around lap number 95, lap 100, they really only got about a 34 lap run, which is shorter than what they've been doing here all evening long. So finding a caution flag or a couple of yellows where they got those extra 2 or 3 sets back behind pit wall that they can use for those late race caution flags, there's going to be no harm, no foul for them right now. And as they continue to roll out there, not having the risk of a caution flag come out, trapping you a lap down out there on the racetrack, they are not backing down here in this one, as we do see Dalton Wicker continue to hang on to the race lead, but Belton once again in this run, slowly but surely starting to reel him in. As Adam Belton back about 1.1 seconds behind our race leader. A little farther back, you do see JJ Moore. Moore rolls there in position number 3. He is pulled away from Dylan Picklesheimer, our 4th place driver, but he's slowly but surely catching up to our race leaders. Maybe he's got something to do with this race finale later on this evening to see if maybe he can race his way up and into that hunt at the front. As Dylan Picklesheimer, Jeremiah Nelson rounding out our top 5. You see Nelson right there with that 45 right, putting the pressure to his back bumper. Now he does have about 4 lap better tires, and he's looking to try to use it to his advantage, trying to roll around that number 45 right here this evening. Corey Tank back there in position number 6 with Jack Simpson there in 7th. Anthony Ludi there in 8th. Then we see Al Likens in the 9 ride up and into position number 9 as that Napa Auto Parts Sun Energy 9 ride rolling there in that 9th spot as Gavin Grubbs right there behind him, rounding out our top 10 here in this one. So a lot of ups and downs, a lot of different pit strategies, and the calculators working overtime here this evening. Now for a lot of these drivers, They want to make it to at least an area where if they don't have to come back down pit side, if we see this stay clean and green, if they don't have to make an additional green flag pit stop, then they're going to try to make it to that area, to that point where they are good on fuel, maybe even go a little bit farther than that. Excuse me, sorry about that, chat. Maybe try to go a little farther than that and try to set themselves up here for a good run late in this race. And if we do see that late race caution flag, maybe even multiple yellow flags late in this race, they have an extra couple sets back there behind pit wall that they can use to their advantage to try to put themselves into a winning situation here this evening. As Wicker, Mountain, J.J. Moore still our top three out there on the speedway. And here you go. You see those fresh tires once again rolling around these guys. So the fresh tires back there that have already made that second green flag pit stop here this evening, you do see that number one ride of Michael Sheffield, the 57 of Brian Fine. They are scored back in 17th and 18th. They are still a lap down as they need to catch up to Dalton Wicker and Adam Boughton to try to get that lap back. But as of right now, they are laying down very, very quick lap times. Last time around, they were virtually about a second quicker than our race leader out there on the racetrack. So running a second faster, that's going to be a little bit more of the same thing that we saw in that first run as they made those early green flag pit stops. Everyone else came down about 10, 15 laps later than these two, and all of a sudden it leapfrogged them to the front of the field. They had a pretty sizable gap, a pretty sizable lead, and they were able to use it to their advantage to kind of hang out inside the race lead up at the front of the field and inside the top five for a little bit longer. And then as they started to fall back and the tires were a little bit worse than everybody else, they all of a sudden came back down pit road and made that second pit stop on the day. Now these two, they do have to make a third pit stop here this evening. They can't make it to the end on fuel, so they will have to make an additional pit stop, but that could be a big break for them as potentially everyone else will come down pit side late in this race as well. So we'll have to wait and see how things kind of line up and where everything kind of gets settled in here this evening. As Dalton Wicker continuing to lead the way. Adam Boughton there in second. J.J. Moore back in third with Jeremiah Nelson, Corey Nick, our top five out there on the racetrack. Dylan Picklesheimer there in sixth with Jack Simpson, Anthony Ludi, Al Likens, and Gavin Grubbs rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack. As Wicker continuing to lead the way, he has led a lot of laps here this evening. The 77 ride has been out in front of the field and doing a very good job of hanging on to the race lead and managing the gap between himself and our second place driver for a lot of time here this evening. As Wicker out in front, he still has that 1.15 second gap between himself and Adam Boughton. As Boughton rolling there in position number 2. Now he is running into some of those fresh tires moving right on around him as there goes that 57 ride of Brian Fine. Fine able to work himself around. We already see Michael Sheffield moving around that 57 ride as well, and right there in front of him is our race leader. And here you go, you're going to see how good these fresh tires are compared to the old tires as the one ride on the new tires. The 77 of Mr. Wicker, our race leader, he's on the older tires. He was down pit road on lap number 47 for Sheffield and Brian Fine. They were down pit side on lap number 70, so a lot better tires here this evening. And for the one ride, maybe potentially a great timing there for them as we do see the caution flag come out. So caution flag is going to be thrown here as it looked like potentially some issues for Dylan Picklesheimer and some of these other drivers heading down pit side. There you go. There's the contact. Around goes the 45. Around goes the 95 as well. So heavy damage there for Anthony Ludi. Heavy damage for Dylan Picklesheimer. It looked like Picklesheimer was potentially trying to head down pit road here. Not sure what happens to this race car as he's rolling down through corner 3 and 4. Looks like he's trying to come down pit side. He's rolling out of the throttle, trying to get checked up, but he stays there on the racetrack, and all of a sudden the 24 ride just barely gets through there. Made a little contact as He was going with the big head of steam, comes down low. The 45 ride rolling in the middle of the racetrack, slowing down to try to head down pit side. All of a sudden, the cars behind him just run right over top of him, and a heavy hit right there for Anthony Ludi. Not once, but twice. He slams into the 45 ride, then shoots down the racetrack in hard contact here with that inside fence. That's a concrete barrier right there. There is no safer barrier, so it does a ton of damage, and you see that entire right front left front tore apart there on Anthony Ludi's ride. Heavy front end damage there for him, and unfortunately that will be a quick repair or a long time down pit road, as you do see Picklesheimer trying to decipher what he needs to do, as our first caution flag of the day is going to really mix things up for Michael Sheffield. He was able to race his way back onto the lead lap. Now this is a bit of a good break for him, as that's going to kind of even things out here. He's not going to have to take a wave around, look for a lucky dog. He didn't get trapped a lap down for Brian Fine. He was rolling in second, and he is going to get the free pass, the lucky dog, and back onto the lead lap here this evening as well. Now, they are going to give up a ton of track position. That's the only downfall to that strategy not working out for them, as the track position is going to be gone. They could have rolled back to the front of the field there with everyone else making green flag pit stops, but now things are a little bit more on an even playing field with this pit stop on lap number 92. Everybody should be able to make it on fuel here. Now it comes down to tire saving, tire management, and what you need to do to try to put yourself up and into the winning situation is Kent Mueller. Mueller staying out here on the racetrack right now. I'm not sure what the strategy call is there. Maybe he just missed a entry to pit road there, and it does look like he will make an additional pit stop. So he was able to lead a lap and stay out front there for a little bit, but now the 8 ride heads down pit side, and that American Legion, the one machine, heads down pit side, making that pit stop here this evening, as Wicker will be back out in front. Wicker leads this race with Adam Belton there in second. Jack Simpson back in third with Jeremiah Nelson, Al Likens, Gavin Grubbs, J.J. Moore, Max Costin, Chase Abel rounding out our top 10. As we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing here in this one. Now across the line, it will be lap number 94 getting completed here, and about 40 laps left in this race. And as we go back to green flag racing, what we're going to do is jump into a Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what we want you to do is crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers this evening. As we go back to green flag racing, we go back to our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So crank up that volume. Cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here this evening on Peacemaker Gaming for the Hypershift Racing League. It is the Victory Fuel 200 here from Texas Motor Speedway. Wicker, Belton, 1 and 2, green flag back out into the air, and we will crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. go here in this one. And this is the battle at the front of the field. These drivers, they have nothing to lose, nothing to hold back here from this point on, as they know that they can make it on fuel. They know that the tires may become an issue here later in the run, but for right now, they know that this is the fight for the win here this evening, and it is that beautiful number 94 of Adam Boughton out in front. Boughton leading the way here. Dalton Wicker right there in position number 2 is down across the line. 19 laps left to go here in the Victory Fuel 200, presented by Hypershift Racing League. As Fallen says, Z's, it is no Z's up in here, Fallen. If you're tired, brother, go take a nap or just get out of here. That's all that has to happen. And Dalton Wicker looking to take that race lead back away. Wicker up and around the outside of the 94, and he will jump back out in front. So Wicker takes that race lead away from Adam Boughton. Boughton back into position number 2. As tire wear definitely going to become an issue here in this one. Obviously about a 42-lap run to the end here. These drivers on that first stint, they made it about 47, some of them 48, 49, 50 laps there on that first run before making the green flag pit stop early in this race. So fuel isn't going to be an issue. Tire wear definitely going to be a problem. And drivers early in this run, if they took it a little bit easier on their tires, try to save a little bit here to use a little later in this run, like potentially out of that 77 right of Dalton Wicker, can drive your way to the front of the field and potentially pick up a big win here at Texas Motor Speedway. For Boughton, he was able to hang on to that race lead for a little while, but now starting to fall back. We have to wonder if maybe he burnt his stuff up a little bit too quick, going a little too hard early in this run, and all of a sudden falling back now into second as J.J. Moore right there behind him. We did see Al Likens. Likens was another one of those drivers able to race his way up to the front of the field, take that race lead away. We saw him battling there with Wicker and Boughton for the race lead there for a few laps, and then all of a sudden has fallen back now into 4th, and unfortunately starting to fall farther and farther away from our top 3 here in this one. And quickly Jack Simpson closing the door, closing the gap there on that number 9 ride, looking to see if Jack can race his way up inside the top 4. Here this evening is Max Koss there in 6th. Timothy Watson back in 7th. Gavin Grums there in 8th. Jeremiah Nelson and Michael Sheffield rounding out our top 10 here in this one. As Sheffield rolling right there in that beautiful number 1 machine. Got Your 6 Coffee Company number 1 ride, looking very, very smooth out there on the racetrack. Always very, very, very fast, and continue to look to keep himself at the front of the field, looking to see if he can keep himself up and inside the top 10 here this evening. We saw him leading some laps, obviously putting himself into a great position out there on the racetrack throughout this race with some of that pit strategy. Unfortunately, that timely caution flag around lap number 90 has given up on that kind of strategy here this evening. Obviously, now knowing that everyone can make it on fuel, they don't have to make another pit stop. He doesn't have to make another pit stop. Now it's going to just level out this field. It's leveled out the tires, it's leveled out the fuel economy, and now it's really down to just your driver ability and how good you can handle the pressure, and also trying to handle that little bit of tire wear over this run without making another green flag pit stop, biting a late race caution flag for these drivers. Make your bet. You gotta deal with it. You gotta get what you can out there on the racetrack. And for right now, it is that beautiful number 77 ride of Dalton Wicker who continues to lead this race, but Boughton sticking right there with him. Boughton not letting him run away with it as of yet. He's staying right there, a couple car lengths back of our race leader, as J.J. Moore there in position number 3. Al Likens there in position number 4, and then we see Jack Simpson right behind him, trying to reel him in, trying to move forward a little bit more here this evening. They now have a pretty sizable gap between themselves and our 6th place driver, Timothy Watson. Watson there in 6th with Max Koss, Jeremiah Nelson, Michael Sheffield, Gavin Grums now our top 10 with James Hudson just on the outside of the top 10 looking in. Kent Mueller there in position number 12. Brian Fine back in 13th. Is Fine falling backwards here. There goes Chase Abel down to his inside. Abel looking to move up into 13th. Dylan Picklesheimer during our crank it up, we saw him go for a bit of a slide out of corner number 4, down through the grass, and unfortunately lost a ton of speed, a ton of momentum, and fell all the way back now into the 15th spot, and looks like he is just going to continue to struggle there in that 45 run. Corey Dent also back here. He is now back in 16th. He is the first car 1 lap down. Hoping to see that caution flag, hoping to get the wave around here, the lucky dog, to get himself back into the battle. Shaden Newson there in 17th. Scott Scheib there in 18th. Jonathan Cogswell, Drew King, Justin Hendry, Tyler Cronister, Brad Fulham, Chris Zofeld, Anthony Ludi bringing up the rear of the field back in 25th. As Dalton Wicker continues to lead the way, it is 10 laps left to go. This time down across the line, and it's 9 more laps left of racing action here this evening in the Victory Fuel 200 presented by the Hypershift Racing League. As the Hypershift Racing League once again putting on another amazing race, another amazing event here this evening. And for that number 77 ride of Dalton Wicker, looking to pick up what has been a fairly dominant race win here this evening. So we'll have to keep an eye on this number 77 ride, see if he can pick up the dub here this evening. As down across the line, another lap off the board, only 8 laps left to go here in this one. If you got some tires left, if you got that ability to try to gain a few extra positions, the time is now. You gotta make your moves. You gotta start driving your way up to the front of the field and trying to get everything that you can before that checkered flag flies. You do not want to wait a little too long out there on the speedway, or else you could potentially put yourself into a tough position and out of this race, or out of an area where you can move forward, especially late in this race. If we do see that late race caution flag, if you're back in about that 10th position, you know, you're going to really need something catastrophic to happen at the front of the field to give yourself a shot of driving through 9 drivers and putting yourself up into victory lane late in this race, as you're only going to get a few laps to do so. But if you're out in front, if you're inside that top 5, potentially you can have a shot, potentially get the run that you need to seal this win away from Wicker and Adam Belton and all these other fast drivers up here at the front of the field. Is down across the line. 6 more laps here for the number 77 of Dalton Wicker as the Tiny Toes ride. It's kind of fitting that the Tiny Toes machine here in the Lone Star State, here at Texas Motor Speedway, where everything is bigger in Texas. The Tiny Toes, though, are out in front, continuing to lead this race here this evening. But right behind him, it's Adam Belton, who's really not letting him run away with it. They've started to gap themselves here. They've opened up a sizable lead between themselves and J.J. Moore. Moore is about 1.6 seconds, almost 1.7 seconds now behind our race leader here. So the 48 falling back behind these guys. Al Lycan still hanging on to position number 4. Jack Simpson there in 5th with Timothy Watson in 6th. Jeremiah Nelson, though, all over his back bumper. Nelson looking to try to make the move around that Albaline Ford Mustang. Number 28 machine here this evening for that 6th position. Max Goss back there in position number 8. He's got James Hudson down to his inside. Hudson looking to make the move around that number 63 machine, looking to slide up into the 8th position. Looks like he will make that pass. They're still door to door, but has that preferred line down into corner number 1. And down out at corner number 2, he will consume that number 63. He will jump to the front of the field. Sheffield back there rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. Kent Mueller there in 11th, looking to try to race his way up inside the top 10. If he can make some late race moves and maybe slide around that number 1 right of Sheffield for position number 10. Looks like he's got a fast car here late in this run, as down across the line. We'll see 3 more laps of racing action left here this evening. So 3 more laps left for the 77 of Dalton Wicker, as Wicker leads us down the back straightaway. A little lap traffic right there in front of him is Drew King. Just going to move off the speedway here, as some pretty heavy front end and right front damage here on that 34. Luckily enough, he's able to stay out of the way of our race leader. Unfortunately for Adam Belton, Belton has an issue trying to get around him there, as the 34 trying to move up and out of the way there on the outside of the racetrack. Got into that outside fence, exiting corner number 4, and there is the late race caution flag. Oh no, heartbreaker here for Dalton Wicker. If he does not pick up the win here in this one, man, he had opened up about a 0.3 of a quarter second lead here over this 94 ride of Adam Belton, with that mistake at a corner number 4 and running into problems trying to make his move around that 34 ride. all of a sudden we do see the caution flag fly, and now we'll see the rest of the field right to the back bumper of our race leaders and potentially pit stops here as well. This is really a dangerous spot. You don't want to make a mistake, as you do see the 20 ride down low. Him and the 28 just going to get tied together here. Oh, that's a tough hit right there. Let's take another look at it, see what happens as the 28 ride. I'm not sure if Watson comes down. Looks like maybe he gets a little loose there on the outside lane. Unfortunately, just right hooks that 20 machine up and into the outside fence. Heavy hit there for, honestly, the 20 ride, and definitely not the way you want things to go. Just moved his way up and into position number 6 on the racetrack with that pass, and there's the contact. Around he goes and up and into the outside fence. Man, that is a heartbreaker here this evening, as the 20 ride is still in that car already down behind pit wall, and unfortunately out of this race. And here we go. Here's the contact. Slides up into the outside wall. Heavy damage there for the Interstate Batteries machine. Luckily enough, he does get things locked up. And oh, it's Michael Sheffield. Sheffield jumps in there, gets a big piece of him right there. Pretty good contact there for the one riders. Here we go. Everyone comes down pit side. All of our race leaders down on pit road. This is the money stop. You gotta make sure you hit your marks. You can't make a mistake, and you gotta get a great exit as the 77 of Wicker able to beat the 94 of Adam Boughton back out onto the racetrack. Now, it did look like potentially 2 tire pit stops there for Dalton Wicker, for Adam Boughton, and potentially for Jack Simpson. So that is definitely an interesting one, as Kinnard Vertick says, hope the 28 gets banned. Definitely a tough one right there. I'm not sure if you could. You'd have to go on board. I don't make those decisions, so I can't. I'm going to be unbiased as I can there. Obviously, looks bad from our perspective. Now, the officials are going to go through the telemetry of the throttle and brake pedal and the steering wheel and see whether or not maybe just getting back onto the throttle right there. Obviously, tires very, very old, late in this run, over 40 laps on those tires, and obviously maybe just on the throttle a little too much, trying to battle there with that 20 ride. Maybe just got a little bit loose and came down into him there. So you can't quite say that it was intentional. Definitely looked that way, but you definitely don't want to just say it is, because you just never know. You gotta assume the best for these drivers, and after watching them battle for so many laps with only that one caution flag, around lap number 90, you don't see that kind of stuff happening. Those guys really weren't racing too hard. They weren't rubbing and scrubbing. They weren't making contact, so you can't really think that they were, intentionally going to wreck each other or anything else right there. So definitely going to throw that one right out of the book there. I don't think that was a problem. I think that was just the hard racing and old tires, and unfortunately that's what happens here at Texas Motor Speedway, and that just mixes things up here for us up in the broadcast booth and for all the fans in the grandstands, as we get to see a late race restart here, a little bit of NASCAR overtime here this evening for these drivers. So a green-white checkered finish here this evening, as these drivers will see that green flag fly. They'll get one lap around. If they don't see that white flag fly, we get another caution, then we will do it all over again. But if we take that white flag, then the next flag will end this race. We will not see another overtime here this evening. Even if they're ranking down into core number 1, we will not see that caution flag come out. The checkered flag will end this race. As here we go, getting ready to go back to battle. Looks like we'll get another lap here as the lights still on the official iRacing pace car, and we'll get ready to go through the field as Dalton Wicker will lead us back to the green flag. So far, it's been a very dominant run for this Tiny Toe 77 ride, and it would be a heartbreaker to see him lose it this late in the race. But Adam Boughton, Jack Simpson, Michael Sheffield, all right there ready to try to take it away from him. J.J. Moore back there in position number 5. Al Likens, Timothy Watson, Gavin Grubbs, Chase Abel, and that 8 rider Kent Beagle rounding out our top 10. James Hudson, Max Koss, Dylan Picklesheimer, Brian Fine, Jonathan Cogswell, Corey Denk, now our top 16 out there on the speedway. Jaden Newson, unfortunately, the first car one lap down, would need to see another caution flag to potentially get the lucky dog and back onto the lead lap here this evening. Maybe a couple for Scott Shine, Andrew King to try to get themselves back into this race as well. As here we go. Lights are off the official iRacing pace car, and it will turn hard left back down pit side, and will be sending these drivers loose once again as NASCAR overtime. Green-white checkered here from Texas Motor Speedway as the 77 Up and through the gears, he's going to get ready to hit that Geico restart zone, looking for a big jump, and that's exactly what he finds. A huge launch out of the 77 right as the 94 of Belton just did not go right there. All of a sudden, he slides all the way back to fourth. A heartbreaker there for Adam Belton. As Belton looking to try to hang on to it, trying to get this car rolling, but here comes the 12th right, looking to go right on around him as Wicker tries to lead us down the back straightaway. Here comes Jack Simpson. Here comes J.J. Moore. Nice and easy down through corner number 3 and out of corner number 4. We will see that white flag fly. So the white flag is in the air. The next flag will end this race no matter what. As Jack Simpson and J.J. Moore now door to door for position number 2. That's exactly what Dalton Wicker wants to see. Wants to see those two get out and allow him to run away with this race win as Simpson and Moore make a little contact. Opens up the door down low for Adam Belton to try to slide his way back inside the top 3. But out of corner number 4 for the final time here this evening, it's the Tiny Toes 77 of Dalton Wicker who will pick up the checkered flag here in Texas. As Dalton Wicker picks up the win here in a dominating race for that 77 ride. Jack Simpson able to come home in second in a valiant effort there from Adam Belton. Just a tough last restart there for the 94 ride, and all of a sudden he ends up in position number 3. J.J. Moore, Al Likens are top 5 with Gavin Grubbs, Kent Mueller, Brian Fine, Timothy Watson, and Max Cost rounding out our top 10 out there on the racetrack. Dylan Picklesheimer, James Hudson, Chase Abel, Michael Sheffield, Corey Denk rounding out our top 15 here this evening as he congratulates his teammate Dalton Wicker as Wicker getting ready to celebrate here in Texas as he is going to get ready to set off the 6 shooters here in Party Hard in Texas here this evening as everything is bigger in Texas. And for this Tiny Toes ride, no bigger win than the one here this afternoon on this season for the 77 ride. A big win coming back from our Memorial Day weekend off, and here he is right in to victory lane, starting this second half of the season off on a hot note here this afternoon as Wicker gets the job done. Jack Simpson there in second and Belton in third. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up though in the comment section right now. Let's see some congratulations up in the chat for the 77 ride as the Tiny Toes ride finds his way up and into victory lane. Give it up here for Dalton Wicker as we'll get ready to pull him in the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews as Wicker is going to be pumped about this one, man. He is going to be very, very excited. Adam Belton definitely going to feel very disappointed on that run. Obviously wanted to battle there late in this race for the win, and Jack Simpson making some moves and parking that beautiful 24-30 ride up and into the broadcast booth here up on the podium here this evening. Definitely going to be a great run and very happy number 24 ride. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here you go. Our race winner up and into the booth with us from victory lane. Hey Dalton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. They get a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you. What's up, man?
Not much, Dalton, man. What a run. What a drive here in this one as you were able to pretty much dominate this race, man. We saw you lead a ton of laps here this evening, and then even late in this race having to struggle there a little bit on this restart. Obviously a late race restart, one that you did not want to see as there was so many possibilities of drivers back there behind you able to jump up and steal this win away from you, but as you were able to get a great launch there down through the Geico restart zone, able to hang on and hold off Jack Simpson and Adam Belton and J.J. Moore as right there it looked like maybe Simpson and Moore had a little bit better car than you, maybe a little bit better tires there late in this race on that final run. Obviously the 2-lap shootout, and as they got battling door to door down the back straightaway, they made contact, and that just allowed them to fall back a little farther and allowed you to just run away with this one and keep yourself right where you belonged here in victory lane this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a really fast race. I mean, you saw it in qualifying early how tight the times were. I just tried to get up there and kind of take control early. The pit cycles was really good. I think that's a great race from the league. Everybody kept it clean, and it was 2 really good green flag runs. So I had fun with that, just saving tires, managing the distance behind. Adam and I raced pretty tight, but he raced really good. super clean. So I appreciate that from him. Everybody else, I thought, did a great job from what I saw. It was a fun night.
Yeah, absolutely. Looked like a very fun race. We saw a lot of great battles out there. Obviously, the calculators were working. A couple of drivers on different tire strategies. Other drivers trying to make it there to only have a two-stop race, in which way it was going to be that way until this late race caution flag. What was going to go through your mind, though, as you were headed down the back straightaway, you got a lap and a half left of this race, and then all of a sudden that caution flag comes out, and you're going to have to head back down pit road where anything can happen. You can have a bad pit stop, slide through your box, have a couple drivers make two-tire pit stops and maybe leapfrog you there. What's kind of going through your mind as that caution flag came out and as you had to restart this race and try to keep these guys back for a short run here this evening?
Yeah, it's just another opportunity for chaos. I feel like probably was the best car at Charlotte, led a lot of laps, and had to go kind of thrown away at the end there. So had nothing to show for it. So once I took the lead tonight, I just wanted to get as many laps led as possible, build the gap. And when that happened late, it was I thought it was just going to go south again. So I was happy to bring it home. And yeah, great restart. Jack gave me a little bump there coming to the line, got us out in front. And I don't think I could have drove for 10 more laps at that pace in first, but it worked out, so that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely worked out perfectly here for you, and you're able to put yourself up and into victory lane here this evening as the Tiny Toes ride picking up the win where everything is bigger in Texas this afternoon, and this was a big win for you coming back from that Memorial Day weekend and the Memorial Day break here for the league, and right back up into the winning ways for that Tiny Toes ride as you park it up in victory lane. Dalton, who would you like to thank for such a great run and great race here this evening?
Yeah, all the people that make it happen. Everybody from Hypershift to you, everybody that tunes in, and all the drivers. It's just a great place to come hang out on Thursday night, and I look forward to next week.
Absolutely. Next week going to be another great race, another amazing event here for the Hypershift Racing League, and we can't wait to see you guys back out there duking it out and battling here on a Thursday afternoon. But Dalton, heck of a run, heck of a drive, brother. Congratulations on the win here this evening, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth, maybe back down in Victory Lane next Thursday.
Look forward to it. Big win. Tiny Toes.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Dalton Wicker as Wicker picks up the checkered flag here this evening. What a run there for the 77 ride as he's able to pick up the dub here in this one. Now we'll get ready, though, to pull in our second place finisher, that 24 of Jack Simpson. As Simpson comes home here in position number 2. Let's get Simpson up here into the broadcast booth. Hey, Jack, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy? Hey, Jack, it's Aaron up here in the booth. Did you get a copy?
I got a copy.
There we go. Jack, brother, heck of a run, heck of a drive for you here tonight as we saw you early on in this race moving forward up inside the top 10 there. And then obviously some different pit strategies, pit cycles, and slowly but surely you're just kind of hanging out there up inside the top 10. Then all of a sudden you're up inside the top 5 here late in this race. And then all of a sudden that late race caution flag, and you get an opportunity to try to pick up a few extra spots. And there on the restart, a tough restart for Adam Bounton. He just did not get that outside lane moving. You were able to stick right there with Dalton Wicker and battle there with JJ Moore right down to the end of this race. Unfortunately, just looked like you guys battling side by side allowed you not to be able to reel in that 77 and try to go for the win here this evening. But you were able to slide up into position number 2, up 17 spots from where you started here this evening, man. What a run, what a drive. Take us back through this race and what's kind of going through your mind right now as you park it up on the podium.
Well, I knew since I was starting so far back, I kind of had to be patient the whole race. I didn't try to make any crazy moves. I kind of went with the flow, and I trusted that we had enough speed to make our way through the pack and get up to the front and, be there when it counted at the end. So obviously we got really, really lucky with the caution with 2 laps to go. And then, after that, me and Jaden were discussing the tire strategy, and we both settled on 2 tires since I was so far, I was near the front of the field. So I was happy to see that Adam and Dalton went with that strat as well. And, everything worked on the end for the most part. I mean, you're right, battling with JJ kind of cost me get like the chance to get to Dalton. But in the end, I'm happy with the P2. I haven't had the best of luck with the last Hypershift race at Auto Club, so I'm just happy how everything played out.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything played out well for you here tonight. One spot shy of victory lane. Jack, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and great race here this evening in Texas?
I want to thank all the logos on the car, Race EPI, BioSteel, 213 Simware. I want to shout out a special apology to Dylan and Anthony. I had a run-in with them lap 90 something. Dylan was coming in the pits, and I kind of ran through Dylan and collected Anthony. So that was on me. I was in a bit of a brain fog, and I just want to apologize to them for that. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how the race went.
Yeah, absolutely. A very good race, a very solid race. And yeah, take us kind of back through that as we almost forgot about that. It seemed like it was so long ago, but yeah, tough break right there. Obviously, we saw the 45 for Picklesheimer trying to head down pit road. Now, he was still up on the racetrack trying to get that car woed up as he was losing all that speed trying to head down pit side. It just seemed like he kind of shot down to the inside there, and Anthony, I don't think, was expecting to have the 45 still on the racetrack in the middle groove there, as he couldn't come down to the apron, and he just kind of got collected there in that one. Tough break for Anthony, and Picklestein was able to keep on battling here, but kind of take us back. What was kind of going on right there is obviously a little bit of a brain fart, but at the same point in time, obviously, not expecting to have that car so slow in front of you there on the speedway.
Yeah, well, there were a lot of things that went into that incident. I mean, I was partly in a brain fog, so that's on me. I guess Dylan was announcing that he's coming in on the radio. I don't doubt that he was doing that, but I just didn't clue in. Again, that's on me. I think part of it is I didn't really recognize his paint scheme and clue in that was him. And my eyes were mainly focused on the Tiny Toes car that was pitting in front of him. I think that was Corey Dank. But yeah, I mean, I hate it for Dylan. Hate it for Anthony. I really hate wrecking people, especially in this league. I mean, I think we have a pretty good reputation. Haven't been on the penalty sheet at all this year, so I feel bad. But I mean, there's not much to say other than that.
Yeah, tough break right there. Obviously, good hard racing and a long race up to that point. Obviously, about 90 laps of green flag racing. You guys are a little bit tuckered out at that point. Obviously, that brain fog can definitely set in as long races, long green flag runs can definitely have that effect on drivers. Unfortunate break there for you, but a great recovery. Able to keep your head in the game and keep on battling and parking that 24 right up here on the podium. Jack, congrats on the second place finish, and we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack next Thursday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
You do. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Jack Simpson. Great run, great drive there for Jack, even with that issue there around, 3/4 of the way through this race. That first caution flag of the day, mixing things up here this evening as we'll get ready to pull in our third place finisher here, Bounton. Adam Bounton coming home in position number 3 here this evening. Had a great run, great car, led a bunch of laps here this evening. Unfortunately fell back there on that final restart. Let's bring Adam up and see what he's got to say about tonight's racing action. Hey Adam, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, I do.
Adam, man, solid run, great race here this evening. Obviously, a very fast car leading some laps, having a shot there at the win late in this race, man. Take us back, obviously, through this race and then through that final restart, as it just looked like that 94 ride did not fire off very well, and all of a sudden he fell back to 4th. Luckily enough, able to battle back, though, make that move around J.J. Moore on the closing lap, and slide yourself back up here onto the podium, at least here this evening.
Yeah, I was a little bit too cautious on the opening start. Dalton was able to get around me on the high side. Wasn't expecting the track to have that much grip right from the get-go, and then pretty much settled in and just got caught in the dirty air and couldn't really do much with it other than to just hang with him. Had a couple opportunities, just couldn't make the tires work, and so we were just trucking along and didn't want to see any of those cautions. Wanted to see how the pit strategy was going to turn out there towards the end, but then we had the cautions and that the outside line, that there's like no grip up there on the start, so it's like you hit the gas and it just didn't go anywhere, and then it was just scrambling at the end there to try to rebound as best we could, but managed to get back up to P3 and had a solid point day.
Yeah, Absolutely. Very solid points day. A very solid run for yourself here this evening. Obviously, wishing to have a little bit more grip up there on the outside lane. Really wanting to duke it out there with Dalton Wicker late in this race, especially on that short run speed. As it seemed like you had a little bit more potential short run speed than Dalton Wicker. Obviously, Wicker kind of playing a little bit more of that cat and mouse game, trying to save tires there for a few of these runs. But we were able to see it make some passes around him, lead some laps here this evening, and look to be potentially, right in that hunt until that little bit of tire spin on the final restart here this evening for the race win.
Yeah, overall solid performance. Congrats! Shout out to Dalton for win on the win tonight. It's a fun race battling him. But overall, good race.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, you park it up here in position number 3 here this evening at Texas Motor Speedway. Who would you like to thank, man, for such a great race and great run out there on the racetrack?
I'll give a shout out to you for the awesome broadcast you do, and then shout out to my teammates. Kent, you got to start shotgun on the field after being on probation from last week. Yeah, he managed to get a top 10 there, and then unfortunately, Ludi was up in the top 10 most of the race until he had his little dust up. But overall, solid performance from the RMS team, and we look to carry that momentum into Chicagoland next week.
Absolutely. Another great racetrack, another amazing race, and next Thursday on the docket here for the Hypershift Racing League. And you guys will be right back in action and duking it out. And hopefully, Adam, we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth as the smoke settles there in Chicagoland. And hopefully, we'll see you right up here, maybe a couple of spots better, and up in Victory Lane yourself.
That's the plan. You have a good one.
Absolutely, you as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Adam Boughton. As Boughton comes home in position number 3. Solid run and great race there for that number 94 here this evening. Heck of a run, heck of a drive, and an absolutely amazing battle all evening by these drivers and all the competitors out there on the racetrack. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unfortunately, that will do it for us here this evening. I'm going to get ready to go to bed here in just a little bit, as unfortunately, 6 o'clock comes early in the morning, so we're going to get ready to head to bed, and we can't wait to see you guys back in here. It's tomorrow night. We'll be back to battle. We will be duking it out again as we'll get ready for another amazing show with the Full Throttle Racing League tomorrow evening, as we got the Gen 3 NASCAR Cup cars tomorrow night. Going to be another great race, another amazing show, and hopefully we'll see all of you back up in the grandstands cheering those drivers on. But thank you all for watching here this evening. All the likes, the comments, the shares. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and we'll see you back in here tomorrow evening for some more racing here on Peacemaker Gaming. But thank y'all for watching, thank y'all for tuning in. Peace and love, baby, and we'll see y'all back here tomorrow night. Peace out, chat. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Woo!
Rubber burning, engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Rubber burning, engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo,